he would have to have the reaction speed to actually process and react to the attack to avoid with said minimal movements.
Okay, sure, right. He has the reaction time to react to them, but he's not fast enough to dodge them if he's not using limiting. You want me to prove that? Actually, you know what? Yeah, he's not fast. If he's not using limiting line, he's not able to dodge these hits because, like, at the start of the fight, before he uses limiting line, Kano was attacking at like his mid range and his lower range, and since Hatsumi can't use limiting line, he's not able to dodge, and of course he gets hit. He gets tagged.
He's blocking
like he's forced to block.
He's reacting and blocking these attacks. That would still be your subsequent reaction speed feat.
Okay, like I already told you.
I could still call them relative based off that.
I already told you. Sure, San is like reacting to them, but that doesn't necessarily mean that he's fast enough to dodge them. And those instances where you shown that like he is able to dodge him, that's just him using his limiting line where like he's using minimal movements to avoid those hits.
He would have to, like for the limiting line, he's measuring the blow, right?
Why is that a speed feat? Why does that contribute to speed?
Because when the blow is thrown, he measures the blow to the millimeter and then he was dodging it. He's basically leading the attack on just to dodge it at the last second, which I would personally think would count for dodging.
Watched him do it.
That's just like a perception thing, though. What does that have to do with speed?
If he's
I can perceive bullets coming at like fucking like at the speed of a turtle. That doesn't automatically prove that like or mean that like I can just dodge them. What are you talking about?
Okay, now in this case, he's perceiving Kano's blow to the point where like he can measure these blows and then dodge them. Like in your case,
okay,
I
already told you. I agree that Hatsumi can't perceive these blows and react to them. I don't care about that. I'm arguing that he's not fast enough to dodge them. And the only reason why he's able to dodge them is using the limiting line technique, where the limiting line technique allows you to like avoid hits with fucking minimal movement. That's more of a technique thing than a raw speed feat.
I really don't even feel like arguing that. No, sure. I'd still call him relative based off that.
What? No, because you just gave me the point. So your proof
I
didn't
give you the whole point. I agreed that it was sure it's a technique thing. I never agreed that he wasn't relative. I said I'd still call him relative based off what I've already argued.
Okay, but what you've argued so far, you already gave it to me.
If anything, you already agreed to me when you said that. Sure, he can react and perceive these blows. That's basically what I'm saying too. Call him relative based off.
Okay, but then I also argued that like he's still not fast enough to dodge them.
No,
unless he's limiting line technique. What are you talking about?
Y'all are just going in circles. Can we just do y'all want to just conclude on this point and we move on?
Yes, I want to conclude.
Yeah.
Okay, so basically what my opponent is trying to say that like he sent proof of them being relative, right? And then like he sent scans of like where Hatsumi is dodging the attacks. And then I argued that like it's not necessarily complete raw speed. It's also like his like perception plus his like technique that's allowing him to like move these hits, right? Don't interrupt me. I'm in the middle of my conclusion, okay? So anyways, right? So he's doing that, right? And then he gives me the point where limiting line is a contributing factor to that, and then he just wants to drop the point. He says that like what he argued already is sufficient enough to prove that they're relative, even though so far what he's argued for them to be relative, it has been already refuted by me. And not only have I refuted that, but he also just straight up conceded to it. So far all he sent has been refuted and he admitted to it. And then he just like goes back and says that like it was sufficient. Go ahead and conclude.
All right. I'm basically I think I won this one because I proved that they were relative by seeing the panels of Hatsumi actually blocking and perceiving these attacks, which Villain himself did agree to. And basically those were the conditions of relativity I was saying. Like you could say it's not a raw speed, he can't dodge it, sure. But for me to say he can consistently react to Kano, I would say just based off that's relativity. So yeah, that's basically my point here.
Okay, who won the points then?
All right, move on to another point. Y'all might as well go on win cons now because you've already established speed for both characters. So y'all can just go into y'all's win cons.
Wait, did we even scale our speed to each other? Like we just scaled certain.
Or no, JJ, you haven't scaled your speed to like you haven't scaled your character speed to villains. Villain did, I'm pretty sure. It was
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. I didn't really,
Glock hasn't scaled
really-
shit.
yeah,
Glock hasn't scaled
finish my
shit.
fuck up though. I didn't finish my speed scaling there. So yeah, basically, Kano. Then got Katsu. Then you got Kano relative to Kuroki. I'm pretty sure you already agreed to that one.
Okay, you're saying that Kano is relative to Kuroki?
In speed, yeah.
Man, I
You
feel
agree to
so
that?
bad for you. I feel so bad for you. Of course, I agree to that. So
Okay,
let's just
cool.
go back to the Hatsumi and the Kano thing. You're again saying that they're relative.
We already concluded
Y'all
on that
already
point.
moved from that point. Y'all aren't going back to that one. Y'all already moved from that.
But we never got
Oh,
Yeah,
like a decision on that though.
that's
we'll
because y'all
get a decision
concluded.
after.
We're
We'll
giving
get a
those at
decision after.
when you conclude on the point, you get judgments at the end of the debate. Y'all are just moving on to like y'all's next points, and then we just give judgment on everything after the debate.
Right. Yeah. So yeah, basically based off of all that scale, for Hatsumi would be able to react and perceive Kiryu, and then based off that, and actually yeah, that's basically what it is. He can
Man,
react and perceive the
fuck no, fuck no. Why can't we just get a decision on that specific point?
Does it even matter?
Yes, it
Okay,
does.
sure,
My
sure.
opinion.
Wait, no, it's fine. Sure. Who's your judge?
You
What the fuck? All right.
you you act like
We
you
could
didn't.
just go to popular vote. Popular
You
vote.
in this
Okay,
whole
sure. Popular vote. Everyone. You know what? Do we have a poll bot here?
Yes, I'll sign the poll.
All right, go ahead.
Okay, and then I'll do it for the specific sub point, not for the whole Hatsumi speed game. So let me see.
I mean, should I?
Okay, wait. I'll type in the poll. Don't worry, Titus. I got you. Okay. Let me see. Okay. Okay. There you go. All right. So basically, I'm arguing that, like, based on the panels, that they're not relative because, like I said, I refuted that shit already.
Y'all look in debate chat. Go vote in there.
Yeah, go vote in the debate.
Me and Villain aren't allowed to vote for
No,
ourselves.
y'all aren't allowed to vote.
All right.
And we've been there.
Bro.
Ain't no
Okay,
fucking way, bro. Ain't no fucking way, bro.
I want him to make house-to-house inquiries.
Sen,
God.
quit
Who
being
the
a
fuck
coon.
are they?
Just
Stop being the. All right, man. No,
like Sen, just pick a nigga because we trying to move on.
Ain't no fucking way, bro. Ain't no fucking way.
Is that it? Was no one else like?
There is. Hold up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5,
There's like
6,
five real
7.
niggas in the VC, but they're not voting.
They're probably AFK or something, to be honest, or they don't feel like participating.
Man, what? Man, fuck this bozo shit, man. I don't trust this, man.
I can explain my judgment if you want to.
Yeah, go ahead. I'd rather hear that.
Okay. And this is like only for like Hatsumi, the Kano, and Speed, right?
Yeah.
Okay. The like JJ initially claimed like Kano is like, or Hatsumi can react to like all of Kano's attacks. Yeah, Villain didn't really refute that. He said it would be via the technique. That doesn't change anything, just due to the fact that JJ later claimed he would still have to have the capability of still dodging it with the limiting line. And then even then he said that even if he does go with this this like argument, like that he would still need it to dodge it. He would still scale the Kano via reacting and blocking, which still wouldn't change his argument. He would still scale Hatsumi to Kano and speed. So yeah, overall I just don't see his speed scaling have gotten like defeated at all. I didn't see how his speed scaling got defeated at all.
Okay. But what I argued is like, sure, Hatsumi is like fast enough to like fucking react to it, right? But that doesn't necessarily mean that like that they're relative in terms of combat speed. Because I was
Listen,
specifically talking
your
about that.
interpretation of
Then delete that shit right now.
Your interpretation of reaction is like his he can perceive it, but that doesn't mean he's physically capable of actually dodging or blocking. But that in itself doesn't really refute the scans that JJ or like JJ's referring to, where Hatsumi is literally blocking and blocking. You didn't really give a refutation for that. You just said that he can like perceive and react, which would be like his perception, which would have been a fine argument had you countered the fact that Hatsumi was outright, literally, physically blocking the attacks. You didn't really attack that. You were still relying on the fact that on your definition of reaction and perception. You would like the reason I think I understand why you didn't like elaborate on it, because with the limiting line, that would you would rely on his perception, and then if you had gotten like the limiting line point through, and it's like a weird little helpful technique to his combat speed, that would mean normally he can't do anything against it. But since you didn't elaborate and you didn't address the actual scans, that means all JJ had to do was just say like Hatsumi blocked the blows. It means he scales to him in combat speed. And since all you were saying was like he can settle him in perception, there was nothing really addressed there. So that's why I think JJ won that point.
JJ won the point. Okay, so give me a second, right?
Okay.
I'm about to have like a mini debate.
I mean, I
we
can still
I can talk to him about it after, but I won't do it like right now in between y'all's debate.
It's fine.
All right. So can I like
I can still give my anti-scaling for Hatsumi, right, in terms of speed.
Well, like
because I don't even know if you can.
Because listen, we concluded on the specific sub point based on those panels though, not on the whole speed scaling for Hatsumi, and we both agreed on that.
Okay. That's the thing though. I disagree.
Wait, real quick. I thought I asked y'all before I gave judgment if y'all were concluding on Hatsumi scaling to Kano and speed. Like I asked y'all the general point, the actual whole point.
Yeah, that was the whole like sub point of that part of my Hatsumi about the
scale. So this was only the subs point. All right then.
Exactly, because if you look at the poll I typed out, is Hatsumi relative to Kano based on those panels shown? Okay, so whatever. So then we could still scale. So
yeah, Villain, you can go ahead and give a anti-scaling, because since y'all are only giving
can I finish my speed scaling real quick? Because like I didn't finish that.
Your speed scaling?
No, I didn't scale Hatsumi to Kiryu.
We're still on the Kano thing.
He's still disagreeing with like Hatsumi to Kano, so you should probably address this one first.
That's what I'm saying, bro. What the fuck?
No, it's cause JJ. It's cause like y'all just agreed. Y'all concluded on the sub point of this, so y'all would only be concluding on this like first attempt of refutation to the speed scaling. You can still bring up more since it's only the sub point and not the actual whole point of Hatsumi to Kano. That's why I asked that first, which I guess y'all said that that's not the case. So y'all, he can go ahead and bring up like an anti-scale to refute your like speed scaling for Hatsumi to Kano. That's like a second refutation.
Okay. So basically, right, my first like anti-scaling is that like, do you agree that like Hatsumi, that like Kano is just like physically superior to Hatsumi?
In what context?
In like pretty much. What do you mean? What context?
Like,
like in every single like physical stat, like Kano is just physically superior.
You mean? Hold on. Let me get this real quick. You're claiming he is physically stronger and physically faster. That's basically what you're saying.
I'm asking you.
Shit. I agree that he's physically stronger, but I don't think he's like physically like faster.
Physically faster.
Okay. Like I agree that I think they're relative in speed, so I wouldn't necessarily put Kano above Hatsumi.
Okay, so do you agree that like muscles contribute to like speed?
I mean, not necessarily. I mean, they do, of course, but like it's not the whole part of the whole equation.
Okay, so they do contribute to speed, right? And you also agree that Kano is like has more muscles, like outright more muscles.
Hold up.
He's like
Can you
twice the
finish this
size of
whole?
Hatsumi, right?
Can you finish this whole point? Like this whole like skill you're about to do before then I refute it. I feel like I kind of know what you're gonna do, and I already have a refutation.
What are you talking about?
You're
You let me
basically
do
about
what I gotta do. I'm going point by point. You can refute it as you go along. So as I'm saying, you agree that like muscle do contribute to speed. You also agree that like Kano, well, yeah, Kano has more muscle than Hatsumi. That's just obvious. Do you agree, yes or no?
I agree he has more muscle than Hatsumi, sure.
Okay, so then, yeah. So then he should be faster by virtue of
Okay.
like.
Okay, hold up. Let me refute that shit right now. Okay, that's contradicting on the whole fact that Wakatsuki and Julius exist.
Okay.
Like Wakatsuki, he has like the densest muscles, like basically the heaviest muscles there, and like he's still and Hatsumi at one point was still faster than him. And like you have niggas like Galan who's like near Con. Look, who is he? Like near Kano. Actually, I don't know Galan's like exact stats, but he's basically physically like I don't even have to explain. He's much physically superior to niggas like fucking Cosmo and the Kaido and all that. Like he's still fast. Wait, shit, that doesn't help me. What am I saying? Yeah, Koya. There we go. Like Gallon has the fastest strikes, but he's not like big, like the biggest nigga there.
Okay.
So like that would basically contradict the whole thing right there.
Let me.
Wakatsuki. Hold up, I'm not finished yet. Wakatsuki has the whole like Wakatsuki and Julie have like the top physical attributes. Like they're the biggest and strongest niggas there. The niggas in that tournament are still faster than them. That shit is just straight up wrong.
Give me a second. Let me get the specific scan that I'm looking for.
And if anything, like if I were to agree, if I were to say agree to thing, that would like probably be only references like travel speed, because like in the series that's only when like muscle strength is brought up for speed, like for travel speed. Like you can see that in niggas like with Morobuchi, Kaizan, Ray.
Okay.
So like unless like he was fucking dashing at him, then I don't really see that.
Okay, give me a second.
Dashing and striking him.
You kick me like you meant it. Could have cracked my skull open. Whatever power gap is. Okay. Let me see.
Gozo is underrated.
Gets negged by our base Ryan.
Shut the fuck up, Fair. Fair, one day I'm gonna make you block me off of my scaling.
See, not my fault that your goats are ass.
I mean, I'd rather have ass goats than have dick grabber goats.
See, at least my goat didn't get his ass beat for 7 chapters straight.
Listen, that happened. I will not deny that did happen.
Okay, wait, okay.
But he never touched dick.
Go back to the debate. Go ahead.
Yeah, listen. Do you agree that like basically Kano was holding back in the entire fight against Hatsumi?
In terms of AP, sure. Actually, not even in terms of AP, but like in the final kick, yeah. But like in terms of speed and like general power throughout the match, not really.
Okay. So you do know that like Kano could have literally cracked open his skull right at the final kick.
Yeah.
And he didn't do it because he was holding back, right?
Yeah.
So by virtue of that, he should have bone breaking AP, or at least enough AP to break his bones, right?
Yeah.
With the kick. So then,
yeah, sure, he can break his bones,
by
but he
virtue
didn't
of
actually.
that, right? He got multiple blows against Hatsumi, right? That Hatsumi blocked, but yet Hatsumi's bones were never broken.
Okay,
and it says, and let me send the specific panel. The debate shot right here. Like
hold up.
Hatsumi.
Are you wait before we continue? Are you dropping that whole muscle point?
What's the point?
Yeah.
No, not really, because I'm gonna tie that. I'm gonna tie that into another scan. Okay. Anyways. So if you look at the scan right here, Kazuo is basically looking at Hatsumi and saying he's alive, well, not even any permanent damage, right? So like he hasn't taken like his bones are just fine, like in his legs and in his arms. Like he blocked Kano's kicks, right? So since you agreed that Kano has like bone breaking AP, he should have been able
bone breaking AP again.
No, listen. Well, I scaled it because like he was about to kill Hatsumi with the final kick, but he held back. And you also agree that he should have been able to split his head like a watermelon.
I mean, okay, I'm just kind of confused here, but continue.
Okay, so I did scale his AP, so then I'm moving on from that. So then, by virtue of that, right, Kano had blocked multiple blows, right? And those blows, since you agree that like those blows, at minimum, his kicks should have bone breaking AP. Fucking Hatsumi shit, like the bones in his legs or whatever he blocked with, like his arms, should have been like broken and shit, or at least taking significant damage. But yet, right here we see Cosmo saying that like not even any permanent damage, and like what's his face? Hatsumi is just casual about the whole thing, and he just wants to smoke.
Okay, so
Like
are
like
you
like
basically
like
saying that
he's not taking
throughout this
like
whole
any
fight he could have?
significant.
Are you saying throughout
Like
this whole fight he could have broken like his bones in one hit if he wanted to?
yeah, pretty much, and like he was also holding back in speed.
Hold on, can you elaborate on the speed thing? Then I'll refute the argument.
Because like if you're holding back your blows like in terms of power, you would have to like punch slower and kick slower.
Yeah, you're not.
Because of like the physical laws, right, where it's like force equals mass times acceleration. By virtue of Kano not being able to change his mass, like the weight of his blows, in order for him to nerf his own blows to not kill Hatsumi or like break his bones, he would have to like nerf his speed, like try to hold back on his speed.
Hold up. Can you
Or well,
quantify
not
the
try,
nerf?
like he literally did that.
Can hold up. Well, can you quantify the nerf real quick? If this
The
nerf
nerf in
exists, can you
speed.
quantify it?
Well, I just told you it went from like he should have enough AP to like break his bones, but yeah, he slowed it enough to like not break his bones to the point
Okay,
where Hatsumi took no like permanent damage.
okay. That's not a quantification for the for like the speed nerf that this necessarily would give him.
Well, like I already told you, like
No,
AP,
you told me why.
AP.
Like,
No. Speed. No. Speed is like a contributing factor to AP. So if he's holding back his AP by virtue of him not being able to like change his mass, he has to nerf his own AP. So it does correlate with speed.
that's not the thing. You claim that this would nerf his speed. I'm asking you what the quantification for said nerf be. What you have said so far, but you're not even like that's not a quantification.
I'm quantifying like
I'm
no. Listen,
agreeing
I'm
with your point.
quantifying the AP. I'm quantifying the AP, and I justify why that would also correlate with speed. Like why would mean that Connor was nerfing his speed.
Okay, then. I'm asking you for the quantification of what the speed nerf would be.
JJ, real quick, what he's saying is like this eight. You know how he's saying like he could have used this amount of force on his AP, but he only used this much.
Yeah,
And then you know the difference between that.
right.
He's using that difference to attribute it to speed. So he's saying since he did that, he could have hit this much faster, and like with that set of AP difference.
Yeah, this has to prove that. Like prove they're like prove it's like a fucking 1-to-1.
That was to you,
What do you
Dylan.
mean?
Yeah.
Well, it has to be a 1v1. It has to be
No, I
like a
said
one
it
to
proves
one.
it would be
No,
1-to-1.
it has to be. That's what I'm saying. It has to be 1-to-1 because he can't change his mass. He
Okay,
has to change his speed. It's a 1-to-1 like ratio or whatever the fuck.
that's
Like it's impossible for him to change his mass. Like he can't gain muscle in the middle of the fight. So he has to change his speed.
Well, let me do. Hold up.
Like his speed is a direct correlation with his AP. Cause his his mass is like already set. The mass can't change.
Wait a minute. So you're saying like he held back in AP because he held back in speed?
Yeah,
That's what you're
like
saying?
yeah. Well, let me phrase it this way, right? If it would be like a chart or some shit, the x variable would be his weight, and the y variable would be the speed. So like his AP is like directly correlating with like his speed, since he can't change his mass.
That's the argument now. All right, let me refute this. So, yeah, I disagree. I disagree with him holding back in like AP throughout the whole fight. I basically say that because throughout the fight when Hatsumi blocks him, for one, like he that their bones aren't broken. It would make no physical sense for Hatsumi for Kano to like not just fucking break his leg and disable Hatsumi right there when he actually kicks his leg. And not to mention, like when you land a clean blow and when you actually like hit somebody's block, there's a clear difference on like the amount of damage that you do on said person. So if I hit you when you block the attack, or you're able to prepare for the attack and subsequently block it, the amount of damage you would sustain from it would be a lot less than it would be if you took the clean blow right there. So I would say like this would be like a clean blow. So in this case, you wouldn't have to like fucking hold. He'd be able to like hold back his speed to not kill him here. But in the other case,
none of that shit matters. If he's like expecting it or not, it doesn't matter because it's just
it
bones. He's striking. No. He's striking at like bones and shit. So like Hatsumi's awareness doesn't contribute to like his like how hard his bones are. If Kano has bone breaking AP, listen. If Kano has bone breaking AP, he should be able to break Hatsumi's bones, no matter if Hatsumi is blocking or whether he gets a clean hit on him or not. And actually, you know what? Let me prove that right now. Wait. No. Let me prove that right now. Let me prove that right fucking now that like Kano has bone breaking AP regardless of that, or like he blocks it or some shit, whatever. Let me show
What
that
are y'all
shit.
even talking about?
Like
That's
he's
just
trying to say like
bone.
even it's like
Right
don't
here.
know.
Look at this
sounds
panel.
like a really ratty
Look at this
argument.
panel. No, look at this panel. No, look at this panel. Look at this panel. This man literally kicks so
Hey,
fucking
yo.
hard that like Hatsumi like blocks that shit with his arm, but yet his ribs still fucking crack to the point where like Hatsumi's like, wait, what the fuck? He doesn't block it?
No, he's not blocking it here. Like he intended the blow, but Hatsumi just he just straight up kicked him in his ribs, and like the fact that like there's no like action. If he blocked it, we wouldn't see his ribs being cracked here. We would see bones getting cracked. It's like like you even see like the outline of the blow, like little whip thing or air, like basically the indication of the blow right there, making contact with the ribs. Like you could see that he's hitting the ribs there. He's not just if he was blocking it with his arm. Like what?
Okay, so you're saying that like Hatsumi wanted to deflect it, but he couldn't?
No, he wanted to deflect it, but in this case, Kano like still. Fuck. Actually, no. Fuck. I'm refuting your point because you just
Bro,
said,
you don't even know what you're talking about.
nigga, I have a stutter problem. When I
saw
talk
you
too fast, I stutter.
stutter. Okay, so he kicked. So Kano kicked Hatsumi clean in the ribs, right? Why?
Yeah.
Tell me why that happens.
Why does that matter to this case? I'm refuting. No, that doesn't matter to the argument. To this argument right now, that does not matter.
Okay.
Yeah, that was a refutation of your whole point of like that bone breaking AP shit. Like, so that goes back to my thing.
Even then, this specific panel proves that Kano has bone breaking AP.
Okay, that's a clean blow. If you'd actually let me finish here, in Kengan, it's shown that when that clean blows do a lot more damage than an actual like blocked or prepared for hit. We see that in numerous instances. Like Omega, we see like Natoku when he's able to prepare for like multiple. When he can't prepare for attack, he takes more damage, or like the attacks would do a lot more damage. But because he's able to prepare for the blows, these don't fucking neg him. That's one of the instances. And I think let me go back to the Carlos fight. I think it was something there. Basically, Carlos is portrayed as having bone breaking AP there with his kicks, but like he intended to break Gallon's fist right there, but like when he kicked his other body parts, like his bones like didn't straight up break, if I recall correctly.
Okay.
Hold up, Fairy. What was Carlos versus that nigga's fight?
No, listen, I know what you're talking about. I know exactly what you're talking about, but like how the fuck does being aware of a hit harden your bones? Like
Because
what?
Being aware of that I wouldn't necessarily have to explain that part. I would just have to show that in Kengan that's what happens.
No, you'd have to explain why that would be the case though.
Not really. If I show in Kengan why something happens, I wouldn't have to give an explanation to why it happens. I'm not the author.
If I ask you to substantiate that shit, to substantiate like a fucking scam that you saying, you'd have to do that. What are you talking about?
That would be the substantiation. if that happens, if that is shown to be a common occurrence in Kengan, then I have to explain why said common occurrence
Okay,
happens.
that makes no fucking sense. If I show you examples of blonde fighters beating black fighters, and then I tell you,
The hell
for example,
That's
this
that is
fighter,
what is he talking about?
I don't, bro. That is a fucking
you have to
what's the fallacy?
explain
Yeah,
why that would be the
that's
case.
a false equivalent. What?
No, you'd have to explain why that. Look, listen, all of this is stupid as fuck. I asked you why Kano was able to kick Hatsumi right there. Why was he
That
able to do that?
and I already told you that was irrelevant to the point to this current
Okay,
point.
I'll just make the claim that like he just fucking that Kano was just straight up fast enough to fucking to
You're
kick
changing your
Hatsumi
whole
like
hold
right.
up. You're changing your whole argument there. You need to have to like drop this whole point and
Sure,
move on to a separate
I
argument.
don't care. I don't care.
Okay,
I don't care.
all right. You're
So
dropping
by virtue of Kano being able to do this, he should have been able to do that the whole fight. And then let me send the scan right after that.
Are you saying he blitzed Hatsumi here?
Yeah. Wait,
All
actually, wait, listen. This part is kind of debatable, like the first kick, but then this one, he just straight up perception blitzes Hatsumi right there, where
Hold
Hatsumi isn't even able to like perceive the kick,
All right. I just said
and that helps my argument, where like Hatsumi, where like Kano was holding back the entire fight, and he could have blitzed Hatsumi the entire fight.
okay. Let me refute that real quick. All right, for one, if you could blitz Hatsumi the entire fight, then that would make no narrative sense at all. Like if he had the capability to just blitz Hatsumi outright, he would have done it. We see that like based off his whole attitude coming into and coming out of the fight. At that point, his whole goal is to just crush his opponent and move on and win the tournament for his master. He dead ass says that. It would make no narrative.
Okay.
Like this isn't round 2 and round 1 Conor where he's fucking around. He wants like he just like he means to end the fight like as soon as possible. That's his whole goal here.
Okay, let me debunk this shit with one fucking panel. It's right here. You also agreed earlier on that Kano did hold back on that fight on the fucking on the kick. At minimum, no, stop talking. You're saying that the narrative doesn't support that Kano would hold back, but in the beginning, you agreed with me that he held back on the last kick. What are you talking about?
The narrative doesn't
The
agree
narrative
that.
does support. Stop talking. I'm not done talking. The narrative outright supports it by even Hatsumi's own admission does support that Kano was holding back. So you can't just outright claim that he wasn't gonna hold back. What are you talking about?
No, this is a refutation of your initial point. You said that he could blitz Hatsumi the whole fight, which would make no sense in the narrative. I'm saying here he can afford the held back because at that point he could afford to hold back and not kill Hatsumi there because he has no need to kill him.
So then he is holding back.
He held back. I said he held back in the last kick. That doesn't mean he held back in doesn't mean he held back in the entire fight. Held back to the extent.
Your argument.
Hey, I'm not finished talking. I'm not finished.
Go ahead. Finish.
That doesn't mean he held back to the extent where he can just straight up blitz Hatsumi the entire fight. Like what? And he said something after that. Oh yeah, but I could just attribute that to like offensive pre-initiative.
Like, offensive pre-initiative. What are you talking about? Offensive pre-initiative doesn't make him physically faster. The feat of him, like perception.
I'm not finished with my refutation. I'm basically saying like he didn't know, like he couldn't in this case like he didn't initially like you can't really claim that in this case he actually blitzed him. Like I'm saying like Hatsumi's in like entire surprise here. Like this could be like his reaction to, like sudden pre-initiative kicks. Like you can't do like I'm basically there's no way to definitively say that is a blitz when it could also just be like an application of pre-initiative.
An application of okay, well, I literally already refuted that when I interrupted you. I just straight up said that like pre-initiative doesn't make you physically faster. Can you prove that?
That's why I'm saying. That's what I'm saying in this case. Like he's not physically faster. He just used pre-initiative, which kind of cut Tatami here. Like even here, like you say, not here. Yeah, in this case, where he kicks Hatsumi in the ribs. He basically, like in this case, Hatsumi intended to deflect that and send that skin if you want. Kano could have used offensive pre-initiative to cut that whole thing, like move before move before that happened. Where it's like moving away where it would just cut that. So like you like for that you could say that's like why he's surprised, and then after that like he's already kind of stunned and kind of fucked at that point. So just kick.
None of that shit matters because you already said that pre-initiative doesn't amp you physically. So even then, Kano
And
would still
did
have
you
to.
not
No, I'm
listen
not
to
done
what
fucking
I said?
talking. Kano would still have to be fast enough to perform that action anyways, regardless of pre-initiative or not.
No, that's what I'm saying. Hatsumi intended to deflect the kick. That is a thing. Kano could have read that intent and acted in a way where it would have cucked it, or just made a move like before he did that. Because that's what offensive pre-initiative basically is.
I'm literally just gonna repeat what the fuck I just said.
All right,
In order for Kano
like,
to do that, he still has to be fast enough to do that, and by virtue of you agreeing that pre-initiative doesn't amp you physically, then that would have to have been the case.
I'm not saying
Even then,
y'all can just move
he
on.
just straight up.
No. Y'all just
Okay,
said y'all are gonna repeat yourselves the whole time. I'm not here for that. Y'all can move on.
I'm just gonna conclude with this. Even then, he just still perception blitzes Hatsumi. And
All
Go
right.
ahead. Y'all can
Okay.
conclude. I'm fine with
Wait,
that. Y'all just
Dylan,
not
wasn't
gonna go in
all right.
circles.
so then I'll just give one more point. So about the whole narrative
Oh,
shit,
I didn't
right?
conclude. I didn't get my conclusion. Okay,
Wait,
I'm basically
we're
saying
not concluding. I'm not concluding either. What are you talking
no.
You
about?
You just
just
said you
wait.
said
I
you give
thought you
another
just said you
point.
wanted to conclude.
I said I was gonna give one more point.
Yeah,
Is it gonna
another
wait?
point.
Is it gonna be to the same point that y'all are on right now, or is it a different point?
It's
A
obvious.
different point for the overarching like argument where Connor was. Wait, Big Alex. I'm gonna give a point besides this one, where like it's just gonna go to like the overall argument that like Connor was faster than Hatsumi. I'm not gonna stick around with this like pre-initiative thing.
At this point, I'm
Okay,
that's
then
that's
y'all
like
might as
what
well
we're arguing
conclude on
on, though.
this sub. Then y'all might as well conclude on this sub point. That way you can bring up this new argument. That way y'all don't have to come back to this one because y'all just keep coming back to this one. It's
Yeah,
getting
that's what I'm
annoying.
saying. Yeah, I'm trying to conclude.
Conclude on the whole point, and he just wants to add in another sub point before they conclude on the whole point.
Yes, we
You
know.
said what?
He basically said what I said. It doesn't matter. Okay, so
What did he
okay,
say?
so
That's
then we're
what I'm
gonna
saying.
conclude on this sub point then, basically, right?
Okay, go ahead.
Okay.
Okay, go first.
I can go first here. All right.
Oh,
So basically, I'm saying here, I think I refuted all the arguments of Hatsumi of Kano like being physically faster when it came down to the muscles, when it came down to the like holding back. I think I refuted that one, and then he's and like for this whole pre-initiative point, I'm basically saying that he never like there's no definitive way to prove that is perception blitz, and that can also be an application of pre-initiative. So, and it will never actually prove that was a perception blitz. So that's another one there. And for my supporting evidence for the point, I basically like Hatsumi surprised, like like basically the entire point. In effect, actually, I didn't bring that point up in the app, so I can't bring that up here. Yeah, I was gonna bring up a whole new point. Fuck, but yeah, basically, that's the conclusion. There's no way to prove he blitzed him when that can just be an application of foresight, and him still having the physical speed to do that wouldn't really matter because that's fucking foresight and wouldn't really attribute to the speed. So yeah, that's the conclusion.
okay. So basically, my conclusion is that although I started off with like the whole muscle argument, I dropped all of that bullshit. Doesn't matter because right here, I showed feats where like Kano just is straight up fast enough to just hit to like he has the option of just straight up hitting Hatsumi, right? Like outright, just hitting him, right? And that supports my argument that I had made way before, where like fucking Kano was holding back based on the virtue that he was able to do this specific feat where like he kicks Hatsumi in the ribs, and that's also supported by the fact that he just does it again, but this time we get definitive proof where he's physically able to perception blitz him, like just straight up perception blitz him. Not only that, but like, let me see, what the fuck. Okay, and then my opponent tried to refute the first kick, right, being a blitz by the fact that like it was a pre-initiative kick or whatever. But then I just argued that like it doesn't matter whether it was pre-initiative or not, because he still has to be physically fast enough to perform that action, whether or not like when he started or whatever the fuck, whether he started before Hatsumi or not, he still has to be fast enough to do that. Let me see. And then that's basically my conclusion. And then I still have another point.
Go ahead and bring up that point.
Can
Okay.
y'all before y'all like give a conclusion on this point before like we fucking go back? I'm gonna back
Well,
here.
I low key gotta listen to the recording because from what I heard, it sounds like JJ won, but there's instances where like villains seem to have like had a point that would have cut your whole argument. Like there's one point in time, you were arguing the narrative thing, and like you
Shit.
said, or villain said, like you had already agreed, like later earlier in the debate, that he was holding back in the last instance, and depending on what your reputation to that was, which I'm not too sure, like that's why I got to go back and look. But if it wasn't what I have in mind right now, you would have lost that point right then and there. So
Yeah.
I got to go back into that.
All right. So should we leave it to popular vote then?
No,
I
I don't
mean,
trust that
no,
shit. Fuck
I
because
it.
mean,
you can
let
let
me-
Alex give his thoughts if he was listening, but everybody else probably wasn't listening for shit. No, to be honest
Yeah,
with you.
I'll trust Alex. Not these guys.
I stopped listening. Like I've been on my phone for most of this. I'm sorry. Yeah.
All right, well then I'll just go back on the recording, but for now y'all can just go off like, well, JJ, this is your
Yeah.
scaling, right?
yeah.
Well, no,
Yeah.
actually,
Okay,
this is no. This is my anti-scaling.
this is your
Okay.
anti-scaling. Okay, okay. Well,
We just concluded on
And
that
I'm gonna
thing.
bring up one more point.
okay,
We
hold on,
agreed
hold
that
on,
I was
hold
gonna
on,
bring up one more point.
hold on. I got y'all. Listen, so villain, this is your anti-scaling, right?
Yeah, we've been on my anti-scaling.
This isn't even the
Okay,
whole
okay.
point. This is one of the reasons why I stopped listening. This isn't even the whole point. It's still just a sub point for why
Yeah.
I
I'm trying to move on to like win cons, but
Yeah. Hold on. Okay, so since this is an anti-scaling, villain, if you feel like you won that last point, you can go ahead and just drop it here. Or if you feel like you want to like substantiate this last part of this anti-scaling, you can real quick. I don't really care, but that's up to you because
Okay,
this is your anti-scaling.
that's fine. So then I'm basically just gonna send this panel of the anti-scaling, right? And it's right here where it's like, and this might be the last panel that I'll send for this anti-scaling, where it's like if you just straight up read it, Hatsumi by his own admission just admits his inferiority to Kano, right? It's like now that I've fought him, I understand just how wide the power gap is, right? And from Hatsumi's perspective, the power gap is so wide. It's like presented in a way that like that Kano is like on top of a fucking mountain, right? And you see like the buildings, right, where it's like on fucking Mount Olympus basically, and Kano is like right at the bottom of the staircase. So it's like narrative wise, Kano is just far superior to Hatsumi. And then like and then it's supported by Hatsumi's own admission, where it's like these are Hatsumi's thoughts on how wide the fucking power gap is, right? And that kind of ties back into my other argument. I'm not gonna go into that, where it's like where Kano could have just fucking blasted him at any point, and that's basically it.
okay. Hold on, let me fruit that. So
Like this is
basically,
the narrative.
with narrative here, I say like this would be like hot to me. Like he admits, like if he fought, I don't know, 10 times out of, this would be flop. I can't say. I'm having a lot of issues speaking. Basically, if they fought 10 times out of 10, like Kano could still win 10 times out of 10, but that doesn't necessarily mean that Kano's like just gonna that Kano's like because it's straight up one shot blitz and just easy neg diff him every single time. Like it wouldn't inherently entail that Kano's just that like that high above to the point where Hatsumi physically can't do anything. Like you could just like attribute that like to other things that Kano has, like evolution, like the fact like he just got the pre initiative. Like there are a lot of things you could attribute this to other than this like Kano or Hatsumi. That Kano just being so far above Hatsumi that Hatsumi can't physically compete, which I think is contradictory during the fight. But that goes back to the holding back point. So yeah.
All right,
Okay,
move on
even
to win guns.
All right.
wait, I'm gonna repeat that shit because even then, right? Even then, if you look at like the Mount Olympus shit that I had mentioned, if you look at the light surrounding Kano, he's looking at Kano like a fucking god on top of Mount Olympus. Like, what are you
Okay.
talking about? Like,
That
he
isn't
makes
that doesn't refute my argument.
he's super inferior to him.
Okay,
Like,
okay. He can be inferior in the sense that he can't beat him in a fight, but that doesn't mean like he's so like superior to like he actually can't physically do anything. Like he's just a baby.
okay, like literally, he's looking at Kano as
Okay.
if he were a divine being. So
Yes,
it's
because
like
he cannot beat him.
it's not like a whole adult and a baby. It's more like a fucking god and a whole adult.
Okay,
So
because he can't beat
that's
him.
the way it's presented, and that's Hatsumi's interpretation of the fight. So the difference between like an adult and a child, I don't really care about that because the difference that's shown is much worse than that. It's like a god and an adult, aka Hatsumi. And that's all I gotta say. We can move on.
Okay, so hold on. I'm gonna refute. So can I refute that, or we're just gonna move on right off of there?
Well, JJ, do you feel like you need to refute this, or are you fine with
Hon-
moving on? Because I'd rather
honestly,
just move on.
honestly, I don't. All right, let's move on to
All
win
right, we
con.
can move on.
Okay, so Villain, you want to go first, win cons, or should I go?
Win cons. Let me see.
I mean,
Y'all
Let me
get
honestly,
see.
spilling
You
before
you give
to be fair, I don't think
actually
I'm gonna keep it a buck. I
we
don't think you need to do win cons. We both know how our characters can win this.
no, I don't care. Hatsumi is not landing shit on fucking Kiryu.
All right,
I
hold
could
on.
have sworn y'all started with the
Wait,
win.
What?
Listen, villain. Win cons are just like what they'd win, assuming he won points. So, like, assuming he won his speed stuff and everything, this would be like what he used to win. So then,
No.
in the case that he won, that would mean he can he can hit Kiryu. That's what his win cons would be for.
No. It's not. No. My anti win contra is not like revolved. It's not revolved around speed. So even if
Oh,
Hatsumi gets like Kiryu in an advantageous position, Hatsumi. Well, I'm just gonna say my argument. Hatsumi would immediately duck Kiryu. Like he's just not gonna follow through with the attacks out of fear.
The fuck? Shit
So
up.
fuck.
Okay. Let's
Okay.
go.
So let me
All right.
see. Let me get the fight. Let me get the specific instance that I'm talking about. So you know Hatsumi's a bitch, right?
No, I don't think he's a bitch. What?
I'm fucking with you. Let me see. Let me see. Oh man, I could have showed so much for the fucking narrative argument. Okay, let me see. Okay, so let me send you this specific panel, right? And then let me send you another specific panel, and these come right after each other. So basically, in this instance, right, Hatsumi tries to go for like a finger, like the triple strike on Kano. Kano, he like reacts to that shit, and like he does a finger lock and shit, and then Hatsumi like feels danger or some shit, right? I don't know like what specifically what it was, but it basically forces him to like not follow through. Where it's like he must have deemed himself at risk in close quarters, and then Hatsumi is basically like shitting his pants, right? So like, so it's basically like just an interpretation of why he would have like not followed through in close quarters. And I'm just gonna basically interpret it as like he felt that like he could probably die against Kano at that
Okay.
moment, and that's
Okay.
why he decided to like not follow up.
All right. For one, I think that like that interpretation in itself, it has a lot of assumptions in it. So that in itself doesn't makes the interpretation pretty shaky. And for that, I would and to for my interpretation of this, I would just say for one, Kano just broke like the finger or maybe even the hand he uses to do like his triple finger technique. And in that case, Hatsumi could have just decided it would be best to gain distance there because because later in the fight we see that Hatsumi he likes to control distance like at that point, he would have deemed he's at an uncomfortable distance with Kano. He'd like to get a more comfortable distance because Kano just kind of cucked his finger, so he can continue with his main strike. So yeah, also I'd say like, and while that's one interpretation of like why he did that, I don't think there's a definitive way to say like he did it. He did it for a specific reason. So here I would just say equal interpretations. So you can't really assert yours over mine.
Okay, give me a second. Let me see. Okay, so what's your interpretation of like the reason why he backed up? Is that like not because he was in danger, but because he got his finger broken, or what?
No, I'm saying he didn't back up because he was scared. He was about to kill him. Like he wasn't fear hacks. He backed up because he probably backed up because he thought that would be the more optimal decision, and that Kano just broke his finger.
Okay, so you're saying that Hatsumi basically felt no fear, or like what? You're saying that like he only backed up for like 100% like strategical reasons and not because he was scared, or like what?
No, I'm not saying all that. I'm basically saying like there's no way for you to prove that he was scared. So I wouldn't have to make the claim that he wasn't or was scared. You would have to prove in that instance that he is definitively scared and fear hacks, like he's pissing his pants.
Okay, well, literally, I already mentioned that. Like, we have the commentary from a commentator, whether it was Jerry Tyson or Sayaka. It says, "quote unquote," he must have deemed himself at risk in close quarters, right?
Okay.
And then it says, and then we see like no from fucking Hatsumi. Like Hatsumi in his own mind is stuttering like a dumbass, and you could see like his facial expression that he's shitting his pants. Like I don't know what other emotion besides fear that Hatsumi is showing.
Surprise. He's surprised Kano broke his finger.
Okay. At risk.
Like based on the whole, like it would make more sense that he's actually surprised and then he's then scared because Hatsumi's been faced with like in the Bondo fight. If he took a hit there, he would have died. And like he actually did take a hit. He had to go limp at like the exact moment, or he would have died. So like I wouldn't say Hatsumi is necessarily, like afraid to the point where like he would just back up, shit his pants because he's jumped into the jaws of death before.
Yeah, you're right. I really thought I could get away with that. That's tough. Okay. Hold up. Let me see.
Just tell me what I can put on my main win con.
Let me see. Yeah, fuck it. I'll drop that shit. Let's just go on win cons then.
These were win cons. You're like trying to neg my win con like initially. All right, so my win con is basically Hatsumi will like limiting line of blink, EQ his shit, and then slam him on his dome.
Okay, I feel like my win con kind of goes through already because I scaled. Actually, yeah, based on like the arguments, I feel that like from what's been already argued, I feel like since Kano would be relative to like Kuroki, and
hold Villain, real quick. If you're not, this is not you giving your reasons as to why your win con would like be more present over mine. Well, actually, no. Is it that fair? Can you help me out real quick?
You said okay. I'll just explain like what Villain's win con should be because I'm
like not even that. Like,
Villain,
I'm trying to say like Villain.
Hold on, real quick. Villain, you're just going under the presumption that you won the points that you needed, and just because of that, all you got to ask JJ is like, does he think like Rocketship? Actually, you established this at the beginning of the debate. Y'all don't even need to go into this.
That's what I said. They already did win cons. They did win cons before they started everything. And like,
that was premise. That was premise.
Okay, no. All you have to say is Kiryu lands in Rockshot's palm.
Hold on. We did Villain's win cons at the beginning. Villain asked JJ if
I know
Kiryu lands Rocketship's palm on or if Kiryu lands Rocketship's palm on Hatsumi, does that mean that he's like handicapped or that he'll die if it's directly landed? And then JJ agreed to that, and then they moved on to like Villain speed scaling.
Yeah, that's how they finished it. But like,
the
Villain opened up with just that, like he thought Kiryu would just tag him enough times to take out Hatsumi. Then afterwards, like JJ said, his win con would be that he would just like catch Kiryu eventually and flip him on his head.
And I don't remember.
I remember that's what they started with. And then like Villain asked him if he agreed that like Rocksucker's palm would just like take out a body part if you hit him with it. Glock was agreeing with that, and then they started something, and I got a phone call, and then that's why I walked out the room.
Yeah, honestly, this is taking a lot. This is win con.
Okay, whatever. I'll just get my win con. So then, like,
A lot.
basically, right? Okay. So basically, what happens is that like Hatsumi tries to use like evasive maneuvers, right, with like the fucking like the limiting line bullshit. And since I established already that like he can't use limiting lines like at like the bottom of his like lower than his midsection basically, since he can't use his fucking limiting line right there. And since I explained that like Kono took advantage of that by striking at his like lower midsection, Kiryu would also do the same thing, do Rakshasa's soul at like the bottom of his midsection. Hatsumi would not be able to like use the limiting line right there, and then he should be handicapped on his legs right there, and that should basically spell the ending of this fight, and then he should win after that.
Okay.
And then,
First, if I can just like put a quick refutation of that. Yeah, Kano didn't know Hatsumi had the limiting line when he was throwing those kicks. Hatsumi only used the limiting line like to dodge the initial head kick, and after that Kano didn't really throw any leg kicks. And also Hatsumi straight up ducks a kick. Hatsumi's rushing into him, and like he died, and like this is like a kick to his midsection, like lower point. Then Hatsumi straight up bends his knees all the way down to like point where he's squatting on the ground. So I would say like the point where he had to like shift his knees axis to like look like he's evade, like phasing through it. That point is pretty much known. The fact that they just show him like he doesn't actually need like if you would like if you strike at his knees or like below his knees, he can still use it based on that instance.
okay, so in reference to like my claim that like Kano took advantage of that, sure, I'll just give you the benefit of the doubt. Kano didn't really have any intention of doing that, but my initial claim was like Hatsumi cannot use limiting line like on his legs and shit. That still kind of stands. Like what you said doesn't actually refute it. So like there's still the possibility of Kiryu. Wait, listen. There's still the possibility of Kiryu still being able to like use Rakshasa's palm on his leg, and then
Hatsumi can just move to the side, like just dodge it that way. Like you,
that's just gonna go back to the speed skating that we were referring.
Okay, okay. I'm basically saying Hatsumi can still dodge Kiryu's like if Kiryu used a lower like attack on his section, he could still react and dodge it. That's basically what I'm saying. Okay, and back to my one and like actually, are you cool with me starting my win con here?
Didn't you already give your win con?
Oh yeah, I did. So
okay, so then
okay, isn't that we pretty much both covered win cons? Aren't we done?
And
like,
actually, no. Well, my win con still kind of goes on because as we established already before, we both agreed, or like I asked you, and you also agreed that like, whatchamacallit, that like being caught off guard does hinder your reaction time and does leave you like susceptible to attacks, right? And since Kiryu is like basically,
these are just win cons now. Like, I thought we finished this. Isn't win cons saying how our characters would win? Why does any of this matter right now? Like, we're about to go like conclusions to the whole debate.
These aren't conclusions; these are win cons.
No, we're about to because like after this, we don't really have anything else to cover.
Okay, but we're not concluding though.
Okay, that's why I'm confused of what you're bringing up.
Wait, can I bring up new points and win cons?
No, these are win cons.
I'm not talking to you. Fairy, can I bring up new points of win cons? Because as far as I know, you can only say what you've already said in conclusions. That like you're only limited to what you've already said in conclusions.
Is Fairy even here?
I'm here.
Okay, like can I bring up new points in my win con?
Well, what kind of points? It has to be related to the actual win con. So what like explain what you're doing right now.
Okay, so basically, like I already argued that like Hatsumi can't use limiting line on his legs, right? That really wasn't refuted. Yeah. Like my opponent really didn't. No, listen. My opponent really didn't refute the fact that like Hatsumi cannot use his shit. Like he kind of gave a separate counter by saying that like even though it's like lower than his legs, he could still dodge it. Is that fine, Glock?
Not really. I basically said he can still use line then since he did it on a low. an attack that would have been to his lower areas to the point where he couldn't shift his knees.
Okay, I know, but you also, but like you never counter the fact my claim like he can't use limiting line
Yeah,
on his legs.
that would be the counter. Like he could, the fact that he used limiting line, like limiting line in itself is a technique where he shifts his axis to the point where it looks like he's phasing through attacks, and the fact that he still used this technique on an attack that was like he used this. I can't speak. He used this technique on an attack that forced him to bend his knee all the way to the point where he was squatting. So like he could still use it on a lower attack.
Okay, so let me ask you this: can Hatsumi use a limiting line on his legs? Yes or no?
What do you mean by that?
Okay, because as it's been shown, right, Hatsumi can use a limiting line like from from his hip above. Like he uses limiting line from the fucking like on the body parts that are like from his hip above. You get what I'm saying? So like I'm not saying that like so like if Hatsumi phases an attack that's like at hip level, he's not gonna get neg. That's not what I'm arguing. I'm saying that like he just simply cannot use a limiting line below like on body parts below his fucking leg.
Hold up.
Because he has to. And can I explain why? Actually, let me substantiate. Can I explain why? Okay, so Hatsumi literally cannot use limiting line to like on attacks specifically aimed at his legs because he has to fucking plant his legs and like to use his knees. You know what I'm saying? So like his legs can't really go anywhere. As we saw like in the Oma example, where like he's sparring with Oma a bit. Whatchamacallit, he's like standing straight up, right? He's like literally right there, but yeah, he's still able to dodge all of Oma's strikes, right? Because Oma really doesn't go for any attacks on his legs. And then as we saw, like,
one second, are you saying like he can't dodge low attacks because he's never shown to dodge low attacks? Is that what you're saying?
no, not lower attacks. I'm just arguing that like he hasn't been shown to like fucking like how do I say this? To like basically use like the limiting line technique on his legs. So like his I'm basically claiming that he has to plant his legs in order to use the limiting line. And that's based on the fact that like he has to use his knees. You get what I'm saying? So like if he's lifting his foot off the ground, he can't use his knee. That's what I'm saying. That's why he has to plant his feet, and that's why he can't move his feet. And like that's why he can't like move his feet to like the side and use limiting line on his feet. That's what I'm claiming.
Okay. Here, right here it says you already know. I don't think I have to send the scans for this. He's saying
Send the scan.
I mean, I'm just like saying points of. Actually, now this point is like exactly what you just said. He's shifting his knee to evade attack with as little movement as possible. This means his axis doesn't move, making it look like he's not moving at all. See that? You see there, like he basically shifting his knees, right? Here, when he goes to Russian, he's running at Kano. Like he's even you can even see in this one panel, his one foot is already off the ground. And then you see like he straight up ducksy. He still uses the limiting line on this attack. Like even then, like you see like another thing here. He led the blow to the point where everyone was convinced it would kill him, then dodged with minimal movements. So you could just say like limiting line has two applications. One where he like this fucking phase of like by like shifting his knees, and here where he like leads the movement on and just dodges it with minimal movements, because that's like basically what they tell us. And going off the definition of what the other limiting line already is, where he's shifting his knees, it wouldn't really align with this here because he can't really do that. I can send scans for that right now if you want me to.
Okay. So let me ask you this. Let me see. Okay, Hatsumi has literally never been shown, or like has never done. Like he has never used the technique to evade like shit on his legs. He's only used that technique when it's like on the hip above.
Hold up. That's what I'm saying. Yeah. Well, you're saying he can't do it because he's never shown to do it? Is that what you're saying? I'm pretty sure that's a fallacy. what is it? Appeal to possibility? Yeah.
Let me see, let me see, let me see. Well, even then, my claim still kind of stands because, like, what you said, I don't think that you're understanding my argument. Maybe I'm not
No, I
expressing
understand your
myself
argument.
correctly.
Like you're saying that he can't do it on like low, like little mid kick, like lead kicks, basically. I'm saying that he, I'm basically saying that you saying that he can't do it because he's never been shown to actually do it would be
Okay.
would be a fallacy. I'm pretty sure it's an appeal to possibility. Got to check that.
Okay, but no. I'm not just substantiating it based on that, based on the fact that like he's literally never been shown to do that.
Yeah,
I'm also
no,
substantiating. No,
that's
I'm not done talking. I'm not done talking. I'm also
you're
substantiating it on the technique itself. No, on the technique itself, where Hatsumi has to plant his feet in order to like fucking shift his knees and shit.
that's the thing. Here I'm
So,
saying right, and that's like that lines up to what I said earlier. If Hatsumi runs, based on this, on what happens here, Hatsumi runs at Kano. We already frequently see in the panel his leg is off the ground. Kano then goes to kick him, and he still uses limiting line. He like, and then here we can see, and then here we see like another explanation of limiting line. He led the blow on to the point where everyone would be convinced that it would kill him. Then he dodged with minimal movement. So with that, you
okay,
can just say that he can just like there can either be two applications of the limiting line. One where he like uses his knees to shift his axis, and one where he just does what the thing I just read. Or two, we can just do it on, or two, we can just do it on an attack. Like it wouldn't
okay,
really matter.
that doesn't refute my claim at all because this is a direct attack on Hatsumi's face. It's not on his legs.
That's it. No, that's it. Here, that's the thing though. You're saying this because he has to shift his knees to use the attack. That's why I'm saying he shift. It's right here. Like we already see him running at Kano with his legs off the ground, and then he does it, which kind of counteracts your whole point of like he needs to have his knees planted. That would contradict that whole thing.
Okay, well, even then, this still doesn't prove that like he can use
That
limiting line on his legs.
That would contradict your reasoning as to why he can't use it on his legs.
Okay, so can he use it on his legs? Yes or no?
Yeah. I wouldn't really have to answer that at this point. I'm just like right now. I'm still refuting your argument. I'm saying that it is a possibility that he can still use it on his legs, and you're not saying that he can't do it. He has never shown to do it. Would be an appeal to possibility.
No. Okay. No, I get what you're saying. I get what fallacy you're referring to.
So y'all are y'all done with the point?
Like honestly, I'm ready to move on to this conclusion to the whole to the whole debate. Honestly,
Give me a second. Let me see this shit. Let me see.
hold up.
I'll just say. Okay, so then yeah, I'll just go to my win con then. So my win con is that like.
Oh damn! I just brought. Hold up. Can I forgot the whole refutation to your thing real quick. It's just like to why Hatsumi can still dodge this attack from Kiryu. Am I allowed to say that now, or like is that already no?
What the?
Okay, now I'm basing.
What is it in reputation to? Like, is it a reputation to his
it's
Rincon that he brought up?
Yeah, it's a refutation what Villain said earlier. How Hatsumi can't dodge Kiryu's attack without like he wouldn't be able to like use it on his lower attack, so he would still get hit by it. Like he would basically say, saying fucking hot saying like Hatsumi can't dodge it. I'm guessing this is tying back to this whole like he can't do it with raw speed. Considering like this is going off the assumption I run the point that Hatsumi is relative to Kano. I already scaled Hatsumi above Kiryu in speed, with Villain agreeing that he would be low end to Kuroki, while Hatsumi being relative to Kano, he would inherently be faster. Well, he's fast enough to dodge, so that's my refutation to that point.
Yeah. So even then, right? Even if you won that point, it still really doesn't matter because like even if Hatsumi is still like, let me see. Yeah, even if Hatsumi is still like as fast as Kuroki, he also agreed that like your fucking whatchamacallit, that like being caught off guard does hinder your reaction time. So like
Okay, what is
Kiryu can
being
still
caught off
hinder.
guard have to do with it? Like,
It hinders. It hinders
like
in the
you're
hypothetical
saying
situation.
Kiryu's
No,
gonna
I'm
catch
not
him
done.
off
No,
guard?
wait, no. Yeah, catch him off guard. That would hinder his reaction, and then it would like graze him and like fuck him up, basically.
Okay. So you're saying it would graze him, and you're saying grazes fuck you up? Is that what you're saying?
Didn't we already establish this?
No, you established that he can graze him, sure, but like you're saying, like it actually still like that still
Y'all
has a possibility.
established the difference between graze and tag, but y'all never established the extent of damage a graze can do. Y'all have only established that graze is what he did to Kuroki.
Well, I
No,
feel like I'm.
Yeah.
I feel
they
like I'm.
agreed.
Okay.
They started with the
Okay.
agreement that if he hit, oh, they didn't agree that he would hit. They said if he hit the Roxas's palm, it would.
They were asking about like, didn't they argue about grazes and shit, everything? I was mentioning that like earlier they were mentioning like like they were arguing on what like Kitty was doing to Kuroki, and what Villain was saying is that like Kiryu had the capabilities of like grazing Kuroki, and it was entailing that his scaling meant like since he can graze Kuroki, and then Kuroki scales above Hatsumi, assuming that point went through, that would mean Kiryu can tag Hatsumi, which means it would like kill him. That was the whole point for the grazing shit. But y'all never went over
Oh,
the
the
actual
grazing point is the
grazing.
tagging point. I remember the tagging point.
Okay, that's fine. It's fine. It's fine. So then I would just have to scale the AP of grazing, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So then let me get that right now, and this will be quick. Okay.
Hold on. Are you operating off the assumption that you won the point or I won the point about them being relative, like Hatsumi being relative to Kano?
No, no. It really doesn't matter because this is just like general AP scaling. Like it
No,
would apply
it's
to
still-
both the hypothetical situations.
It still should, because actually, I'm gonna let you finish on that. You keep going.
It would apply to both hypothetical situations.
Just continue like the whole AP scaling grazing thing.
Okay. I don't even know what you're talking about. Like the AP scaling would apply to both.
You said you were going to scale the AP of grazing because you're saying he can graze Hatsumi. So I said continue on that point of scaling the AP of grazing.
Okay, well that's what I'm saying. But if I scale AP to that level, the AP would apply to both arguments, like the both hypothetical arguments. So just let me scale AP at that point.
I said continue. Go ahead.
Let me see. Let me find a specific panel. Let me see. What is that? What is that piece of shit? See, wait, what the fuck? That could much. You are aware of what specific panel that I'm talking about, right? Where he hits, where he grazes and he caught on. It's like,
Yeah, his arm's fucked up. Let me get that one out the way right now.
and it's
Yeah,
like verbatim stated that like he grazed him. Let me find
yeah.
that shit.
In that case, he grazed Mikado there and fucked up his shoulder, but he grazed Kuroki and there's only like a scratch there.
Okay, time out.
So, and like we know the difference between the grazes, as in fucking Kuroki dodges by a few more millimeters, so he didn't end up as fucked up as Mikado. Now, operating off the assumption that I won the whole relative and speed thing, Hatsumi will be able to replicate the same thing as Kuroki, being able to dodge to that extent.
Okay, but even then, I'm like semi steel manning that. But like, even if you have won that point, you're still not in the clear because like we also agreed that like, and I was gonna make this point right after. Like, being surprised does hinder your reaction time. So Kiryu being like a fucking basically like a specialist or whatever the fuck at like catching people off guard, by virtue of him doing that to Kuroki, he should be able to do that shit to Hatsumi's son as well.
Okay, whenever he catches Kuroki off guard, Kuroki's still able to react. So like he's back to the point where like he survives the grades. From that, like they're still, I won the point of them being relative in speed. Hatsumi would still be able to replicate the same feat.
Okay, give me a second. Give me a second. Because there are multiple instances of like how he does that shit. So like let me see. Like there are like multiple ways he could do that. Of like catch Kuroki off guard. Like if Hatsumi is like standing straight up,
Yeah,
even if you
no,
win that point where
I know
Hatsumi
ways.
is able to dodge that shit,
Like I know
there
what
are still
you're
different instances where like no listen, there are still instances where like he catches Kuroki off guard while Kuroki is literally on the floor. You know what I'm saying? So like you'd have to give multiple refutations to multiple instances of Hatsumi-san being caught off guard. So it's not just like oh he's fast enough to dodge it in this instance, because there are multiple instances and they're all like different.
That's the thing. Of multiple instances, not multiple instances in the fight led to like certain circumstances within the fight. Like if fucking dude being on the floor, Hatsumi like just ending up on the floor, like that was not Hatsumi, like Kuroki. Kiryu initially first he set it up by Raksha's soling the ground, fucking up the ground, and then he proceeded to dash at Kuroki, and then with Kuroki like looking outpacing like dodging him there, then going back. Actually, no, I don't remember the whole sequence. I think I go back and read it. Basically, yeah, like he has to set the whole thing up. Like this is like highly circumstantial within their fight. So I think that had like in the Hatsune, it would take way too many assumptions and like basically having to predict the entire fight to say he would end up in the same scenario.
Let me see. Yeah, no, I would actually argue that's like the situation would be worse for Hatsumi, because like since by virtue of like Kuroki knowing the Koei style and knowing how to counter it, he takes a defensive stance where like he just stands in a specific circle. Like at first he counters all of the blinks, right? All of the blink attacks. And he does that shit effortlessly because he knows the techniques. After that, Kiryu realizes that he can no longer use blink. And then after that, he goes for like several Rakshas's palms, but yet Kuroki has like he knows how to counter the Rakshas's palms as well, and he's like blocking them adequately.
I
Not only
mean,
that,
you can dodge the Raksha's.
okay, that's fine. Let me just make my argument. So like he's able to do that shit by virtue of knowing the Rakshas's palms, right? And then not only that, but like at the end of the fight, let me see. At the end of the fight, after all had been said and done, let me see. Both Kono and Kuroki both acknowledge the fact that like he had to make Kuroki take a risk, where it's like, Kuroki had to like basically sacrifice his arm just to land a hit on what's his face on Kiryu. So let me see. Kiryu
Okay.
says an injury Kuroki's right hand. Let me see. Subsequently, drew all of his attention. That kind of tactic is only highly likely to succeed. It's not all that certain. He forced a fighter as powerful as Kuroki to take a risk. And then Kuroki verbatim states, "You've managed to make me abandon my left arm." So then, like, if like Kiryu is strong enough, fast enough, has the AP or whatever the fuck you want to call it, to be able to do that on someone on a higher skill tier, and someone who has more experience with a Rakshas's palm, if he's able to do that against Kuroki, the situation would be much worse. Like we can come to the conclusion that the situation would be much worse for Hatsumi, because he doesn't have the same tools nor the experience as Kuroki, unless you
Okay.
want to argue otherwise.
Okay, let me continue on that. Okay, for Hatsu, for like the whole like arm thing, in that case, like it's explained like after the fight. Kuroki, that was a calculated risk. Kuroki like basically Kuroki was able to have the risk and reward, and he raged that the reward would be finishing the fight, like just beating Satsuna there instead of prolonging the fight would be a lot better than the risk of maybe like the slight chance that it doesn't go off. Like at this point, like it's not much of a risk, but more like I mean it's a risk, but the risk isn't high like at all. So I don't really think that's like no. So I'm pretty sure that fuck. I think that would be like no there. And,
No, that really doesn't matter, because I'm just reading off the panel.
hey,
I'm just
hey,
stating
hey,
that Kiryu And Kiryu was strong enough to force him to take a risk.
I mean,
He
okay,
was
he
strong
took the
enough to
risk
force
there.
him to take a risk regardless.
Well, okay, he did that there, but
Like whether you want to argue the degree of the risk or like how likely it was to succeed, he was still able to make someone as experienced as Kuroki, someone who has like the skill and like the knowledge of the Koi style. He was still able to force him to take a risk, regardless of like the fucking like the degree of the risk or whatever, whether or not like
okay,
however fucking
Hatsumi
Kuroki
could,
measured that shit.
I mean, Hatsumi could take a risk and fucking grab his arm mid Rockshot's palm. Like that, the whole take a risk thing is way too. Like I don't think that's concrete enough to like to definitively say that would happen. Especially,
No, because I'm using the fight. I'm using the fight and the circumstances of the fight to like basically come to the conclusion that since Kiryu was able to do that to Kuroki, who knows all this, but I'm not gonna repeat it, who knows all this bullshit, right? Hatsumi does not know all that bullshit, and then so the situation would be worse for Hatsumi. Like he wouldn't have the necessary tools to expertly counter the fucking the blade plus the Rakshas's palm, like just the Koi style in general. And then
PC.
basically the risk even then, right? Kuroki literally had to sacrifice like an arm right there. It's like he verbatim states, "You've managed to make me abandon my left arm." So it's not just that like he made him take a risk, but that risk also led Kuroki to like throw out his entire arm.
Okay, but basically, Kuro, this is round 3 to me, so he's already seen like the Raksha. He's already seen the Koei style, so the necessary risk factor wouldn't be that high. And to say Hatsumi ends up in a similar situation to Kiryu, Hatsumi in this case could still like can take like actually I probably should that one. That would cut me. But yeah, this is basically going back to my old point. Hatsumi, because of the chances of the fight and like how the fight played out, yeah, because Hatsumi's style is so much different from Kuroki's, I don't know the definitive way to say it would play out. Like he would end up in a situation where he has to take the risk too. Like him, like you saying like he's forcing a fighter as skilled as Kuroki. In this case, like sure he could be more skilled than Hatsumi, but that doesn't necessarily mean that Hatsumi wouldn't end up would end up in the same situation just because he's more skilled.
Yeah,
like
it's not just more skilled. It's literally more skill plus the fact that he knows the Koei style. Those are two things that Hatsumi doesn't have. So we can just come to the conclusion that the situation.
Hatsumi already seen the Koei style.
He's seen it. Okay, what does that mean that he would have understanding of it on the level of Kuroki?
He wouldn't really need understanding. Like even like 18-year-old Oma and Nikaido were able to figure it off ripped at him. He's just moving when you blink. I suggest that Hatsumi would able to pretty much be able to do the same.
It's not just blink. It's just the Koei style in general. You're just talking about blink.
Those are the only two Koei style that are like still even useful. They're only that are like even used. And like
the Koei style, when I say Koei style in general, I'm only talking about 2 specific styles. I don't know what you're talking about. The 2 specific moves. I don't know what you're talking about, like the entire style.
I'm confused here.
The Koei style in general, I'm only talking about the two attacks.
That's the thing. That's all the Koei style has. That's the entire martial art right there.
Okay.
I've already seen Blink and seeing Rockshot's palm. Like considering he would know Blink Rockshot's palm, you wouldn't even need like a solid understanding of it. Just based on what you've already seen. Like if it hits you, if it hits you, you're fucking dodge the attack.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I think it's just an assumption. Or like,
let me go to conclusion.
Actually, let me see.
Let me finish let me do my win con. Actually, I already did my win con. Can we just head to conclusion already? This has been going on way too long. At this point, if we continue like this, Fairy's gonna get to the point where he physically can't judge, and then we're gonna have to leave.
Shit, I've been at that point. I stopped listening.
Well, it's recorded. It's recorded. Who cares?
Yeah, but like,
I'm leaving it to the recording. I'm not.
At this point, I don't think.
Bro, you realize listening to that shit was toxic, right?
Yeah,
it's not even that. It's just the fact that they kept going on for so long. It's literally been 2 hours. I'm
Yeah,
not putting up with
I
that.
really don't think we need to continue on this win con. I think we argued everything we need to argue on. I think we need to just conclude right here.
Yeah, pretty much.
All right, so you agree? So you just want to conclude on the debate now, or do you still want to go on?
Yeah, I just conclude on the debate. So, like, in reference to like speed, another hypothetical situation that like Kiryu scales to like lower relative. Well, like Kiryu is fast enough to like nearly kill Kuroki, right? Since Kuroki is like scaling to like Kono in terms of like speed, and then Hatsumi would be slower. Under the hypothetical since I won that, Kiryu would just literally like just kind of neg Hatsumi at that point. Where like he would be fast enough to use Righteous's Palm, Righteous's Soul, really doesn't matter. He could possibly use Blink at that point. Another hypothetical situation that I lost the point and where like Hatsumi is like higher relative to Kiryu. Kiryu still has a viable win con by the fact that like Hatsumi isn't necessarily equipped with all the tools to properly, like in terms of technique and knowledge, he doesn't have the same tools that Kuroki has in order to counter the Koei style. Regardless if it's only 2 moves or not, you still need an understanding of that to properly counter it. Not only that, but like just in terms of like general speed, me and my opponent both agreed that like catching someone off guard does hinder your reaction time, and like that would also apply to like Hatsumi-san because it's just a general concept. And then let me see. Yeah, okay. Then he tried to argue that like, well, like in certain instances, like Kiryu tried to do that against Kuroki, but then Kuroki was still able to dodge. And then my counter refutation to that was that like you can't just use that specific feat or like that specific instance to like basically negate all of those feats where like Kiryu catches them off guard, because there are multiple instances and there are specific like glaring differences between all of those feats where Kiryu catches Kuroki off guard. Specifically where Kiryu catches him off guard while Kuroki's standing, and another instance where like Kuroki is just straight up on the floor and he's like forced to kick away Kiryu's fucking righteous assault. And I feel that like my opponent really didn't counter that. So at that point, if Hatsumi isn't able to like do that, Kiryu would just like end up hitting his arm or whatever, or like hitting his leg or some shit. And then yeah, it would just spell the defeat for Hatsumi-san after that. And that's my win con. That's my win con in conclusion, my bad. Go ahead.
Okay, I think I won this debate. Like I won the majority. I think I won the majority of the points. I think the fact that I actually like, assuming that I won like Hatsumi being fast, like Vakano, he already scaled him like above, fucking above Hatsumi, not Hatsumi, Kiryu in speed. I scaled him relative to Kuroki, meaning even if Kiryu catched him off guard, since he would be relative to Kuroki in speed, he would be able to basically replicate what Kuroki did and at least have the reaction to subsequently dodge the attacks. And also, the key like forcing Hatsumi up into all the situations that he did get Kuroki in. I already said that Hatsumi is a considerably different fighter than Kuroki. I don't think there's a way. Like there'll be too many assumptions to say that. Like the fight would end up like just like that, or Hatsumi would end up in that same position. Like that would be. What else? I also feel like I counted all the points against my win cons and arguments, and yeah, I guess based on my conclusion there, it's
all right. It's a nice debate, bro.
Yeah, that's
probably the hardest fought debate of my life, bro. Holy shit!
And I'm not gonna lie. After a certain point, I was losing interest. Really, Fairy, is this what you wanted? Is this what you wanted? Fairy?
Yeah, but real quick, in the point of like in the debate, there's a question I needed. Like, I heard JJ say Villain agreed Kuroki was like low end. No, Kitty was low end to Kuroki.
Yeah.
Was that true?
Yeah, I agreed, but I was still like low in relative, but just fast enough to nearly kill. No, listen, fast enough to nearly kill.
Just real quick, Villain. JJ conceded to that at the beginning of the debate, bro. He conceded to like Kiryu relative to Kuroki.
I didn't. What?
You really did.
Oh,
You guys started that. You did.
When did
what
I conceive
it was
that?
either no. I'm tripping. It was Kiryu to Oma, and then Villain was gonna go on
No,
with
they did a whole point on Kiryu versus Oma and them being like relative.
I
JJ
feel
just
like
agreed with that.
I agree.
JJ said,
yeah. I
I agree.
thought I
Kid and Oma
forgot that
relative.
I forgot he didn't get Oma relative to Kuroki. I was like, drop that bitch. Never
yeah,
mind.
he did drop that. But like
Actually, yeah.
when
What was the point of
they
that? Like, we
first
didn't
started
go
Oh
anywhere.
yeah. Now that I think about it, that shit was kind of
when
irrelevant.
he
That's
first
tough.
started the Oma point before they went into the Oma point is what you're thinking of, very. When he started the Oma point, he opened it with you agree like Kiryu was kind of like faster relative to Kuroki. And then like JJ was like he was relative, but I don't know about faster. And then
No,
he
Wait,
went
I
real
didn't
quick.
pointed
say
out
that.
Oma.
No, I
And
didn't.
like
Hold on,
I
maybe it's
basically
about
said
Oma.
hold on, real quick. Alex, why do you sound like a Decepticon right now? What the fuck?
I don't
because
know.
my Alex has
Oh,
a fucked up mic. That's what
yeah,
I'm saying.
it's my
But no,
laptop.
but I didn't say that. What I said was like he was saying like he's fast enough to like almost kill Kuroki. The entire time I was trying to figure out, okay, like what does that speak in terms of relativity? I was trying to get Villain to like agree with low in relativity. Eventually, he did agree with low in relative. That's I never like straight up like
No, I
agreed
know
that
you
they're
guys
relative.
covered the point twice, JJ. I'm thinking of like the very
I
first
don't
time,
know.
like you brought up the Oma point is what I'm thinking of.
The Homa point
Any,
was irrelevant. We didn't go anywhere with that.
anyway,
I never.
overall, like my judgment on the debate, I gotta re-listen to like the wing cons and shit if I want to like give a full-on judgment. But that shit lasted like fucking an hour. I don't know how.
Actually, I've been finna get judged. I'm gonna keep it a buck with you.
I don't know.
I
I don't know.
will. I'll judge it. It's just gonna take like until tomorrow because I'm not doing it today.
On Cuban Buck, I wasn't
But
going.
from
It took
what I
way too long.
from what I heard, it sounds like JJ won. Like this, I definitely think he won his speed scaling. Villain, from what I remember, I think you were getting your speed scaling across until like there was one point. It was either like Kiryu to Kuroki or it was Kuroki to somebody else. Don't remember. But anyway, and then y'all went on to like JJ scaling. JJ, I think you did get your scaling across. So like it's either gonna be JJ one or it's gonna be like inconclusive. I just gotta recall everything that happened like
How?
before.
Because
Okay.
you even stated like at the speed point where like I was kind of giving my anti-scaling like around that part of the debate. Like you
Yeah, you could
Yeah, I was
like
gonna say I
depending on my
definitely came
response, you
back
could
to
have
that.
touched.
Like from where
Y'all
I
talking at the
was,
same
like
time.
I
Hold
feel
on.
like
What
Villain
did
got
you
his
say?
speed scaling through, but JJ also got his speed scaling through. Like Villain spent a long time trying to like debunk it, and like it really didn't go anywhere. Like I don't know, you could maybe like I'd have to listen to it again, but like maybe his points for the anti like on why like
Wait,
I don't know
Villain.
I don't know was faster than like Hatsumi went through, but like from what I heard of them, it didn't seem like they were gonna go through. It seemed
Like we
kind of.
covered speed. After we covered
Villain.
speed and got to win cons, I feel like at that point it just like I refuted most arguments after that.
Villain, what were you telling me? You said something about you said how and then you were going into something. What were you saying?
yeah like somewhere around like my anti-speed scaling for Hatsumi, right? You said that like if I had won a specific point, that like I would have one speed right there.
Oh
Like
yeah, okay, yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah, I gotta go look back at that. Okay, I can explain that thing. If I recall correctly, it was back to
Hold up, Faye, man. Basically, uh, he look, I said like I basically agree with him that he held back in the. I didn't even agree with him there. I said he held back in the final kick, and then Villain said like we got to the narrative point. I said like that like really confident the narrative for him to hold back that much, but then I agreed to like he held back. He held back in the beginning, so depending on my response after that, I could have touched you.
yeah,
Personally, I feel like I refuted
Oh, I
okay.
remember that part.
This is
That part.
that's what I was talking about. Okay,
I
so
thought you lost that part.
what I was saying was JJ.
Actually, now I think about it, I think Villain
Um,
the anti-scaling.
when you were saying like the narrative thing, the fact that you agreed that like Kano held back at the end of the fight with argument, what I'm looking for in the recording, like in that debate, is whether or not you mentioned Kano either getting stronger or having an evolution. Like if you
Yeah,
said
that I
anything of
did.
that
I did
notion
mention.
in the,
I did.
you said you
I
did.
said like, yeah, I said like in my refutation, I said like that could be referring to a lot of things. That's like kind of keeps evolving. Like Hatsumi like just can't overcome the evolution. So like that.
Okay, then if I hear that in the
I
recording,
don't
then yeah,
remember
you
that. I
win that
remember
point.
JJ gave great arguments of like how Kano was going all out and like doing it for his master.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
don't remember
Basically,
anything
that was one
about
of my
any
points.
evolution from
That
JJ.
was one of my points against the narrative. Like, based on Kano's like whole outlook on like whole change mentality of the fight, it wouldn't like make much narrative sense for Kano to be holding back to the point where he can listen one shot Hatsumi throughout the entire fight. Like, I just don't think that would make narrative sense. That was one of my points against it.
Yeah, but I remember you made that point. I don't remember you saying anything about evolution. But I
Okay,
remember
okay.
thinking like, at the end of that point you kind of lost it just because like you constantly agreed that he was holding back or like he might have been holding back, but if he was holding back, it wasn't to like a great extent. And you just tried to say it wouldn't have been to the same extent as like he was in the first two.
No,
But the
that's
fact that
basically
you
what
made
Miller was saying. Like, he
Okay,
was
okay.
saying he held back.
uh,
That's basically what he said to the like he could blitz him the entire fight. That was basically
Yeah.
what he put there.
But even then,
yeah,
right?
that's what he
You gave your
told
narrative
that.
argument. Wait,
But
listen.
then
You gave
you
your negative argument for
I don't
Kano.
understand the recording. I'm
but
like,
then
listen,
you
like
agreed
15
that
more
like
minutes.
he was holding back. And just because like